All right, everyone, welcome back. I am Bob, your host, and this is the High Octane Podcast. Welcome back, everyone. Welcome new listeners. Welcome back, previous regular listeners. This thing is on my nerves. I need the screen. I forgot to put that on. I'll get that in a moment. Jess is working on that for me. She's the shit. Thank you, babe. Uh, like I said, welcome back. Regular listeners, welcome new people. This is going to be my first solo, 100% solo episode anyway. I put some feelers out earlier on the Facebook group. No one responded, so here I am by myself. It's okay. I'll pull it off, I guess. We'll see. Anyway, Facebook group, High Octane, go join that. It's pretty fun. There's a lot of people in there that interact and share and comment and do whatever. We're also on YouTube, the High Octane Live podcast on there. All the episodes will stream there live on Facebook, Twitter, some page on Twitter. I don't have one, but I do share it there. Anyway, this week I don't have a set topic per se. I did find some interesting things that I thought were noteworthy and would like to talk about. So I'm going to talk about those. And if you guys want to comment along, give me your opinions, agree, disagree, do whatever, that's fine. Get some banter going. We can do that. But that's the agenda, I guess, if you want to call it that. Other than that, these are all actually kind of current events. So that's just kind of what we're going to do for this episode. So yeah, we're going to get into the first little sidetrack. Since I'm the only one on here, it's going to be what am I drinking? So we're going to do that real quick. All right. What am I drinking? I do have another gin this week. This is new. I've never tried it. Same guy that distributes the Purity in the Nashville area. This one's called Brockman's Intensely Smooth Premium Gin. If I'm being honest, I'm not a huge fan of it. It is very fruity, and I don't like that in gin. I like it to be more botanical, how it should be. This one's really grapey. I don't know. It's just very strange. It's not the worst thing I've ever drank, but it's by far not the best either. Sorry, my friend, if you're ever going to watch this episode, I'm not a huge fan of this gin. Stick to Purity. It's much better. But anyway, cheers. Don't drink and drive, and let's do it. All right, we have a comment. It's Chris. Drinking Monster Pipeline Punch. All right. Is that the same one you always drink, Chris? I don't know if that's the same one. If it's the pink can, shame on you. But whatever. That's fine. Whatever you like, sir. Anyway, we're going to get into the first one that I found. All these come off Car and Driver's Facebook page. This is where I got every one of these. So they are getting the credit, not me. I did not do any of this research. I'm just going to tell you my opinion on every one of these. I'll get some of your opinions. Yes, that's my pink drink. There you go. Drink those all day. I'm surprised you don't have kidney stones. Anyway, the first one I found was Tesla is recalling 54,000. I don't know if they're all the same models, different models. I don't know. I didn't read the entire article, but they're recalling 54,000 cars for their autopilot beta, I guess, platform. It allows the car to perform a rolling stop at intersections. And yeah, that's not good. If my car is driving itself, I don't want it to just not stop and continue rolling through a stop sign just willy nilly. That's extremely dangerous. And I'm pretty sure that's the reason that autopilot has caused some of the accidents, if not all of the accidents that it has caused. So good for Tesla for recalling those cars. Probably recalling more than they need to, but good on them for bringing those cars in to fix that problem. It's probably just a flat like a software flash, but it will disable that from happening. Hopefully for good, 100%. Um, Again, I don't think Tesla's autopilot system is great. It's not definitely not the best autonomous driving technology out there. I believe General Motors owns that title right now with the Ultra Cruise. It's just a better system all around. I know we talked briefly about that last week with Brian. Not going to rehash that too much, but Tesla, update your software like a lot, please, because your autopilot sucks. Sorry, not sorry. I just go by what I read and see, and all the cars that have been wrecked using autopilot. But yeah, that's the first one. I know that that one didn't last too long. Didn't really have much to say on it. I just thought it was interesting to bring it up, and kind of funny. So next one I found. I know everyone. Well, most of you guys have probably seen the Escalade V series is coming out very soon. Yeah, Chris. Yes, absolutely. Autopilot would have me nervous as hell too. Even if I was still in the driver's seat, paying 100% attention to the road, watching the car drive itself, I would be nervous as hell too. Knowing what I know about it. Yeah, I agree. But anyway, the Cadillac Escalade V series. If anyone doesn't know, um, read first. But for anyone not in this country that doesn't get the V series Cadillacs, the V series Cadillacs is a performance variant of the normal models. And in the case of the Escalade V series, um, the normal Escalade has just a regular 6.2 V8. I think it makes 420 horsepower. I don't remember the torque figure, but it makes decent power. But for the size of the vehicle, I think it's a little underpowered. I know the new Navigator makes, I want to say, closer to 500 horsepower. And for it being a twin turbo V6, kind of shame on Cadillac for not updating the 6.2 a little bit sooner. Just drop the Corvette 6.2 in it, and you're good to go. I don't know why they won't do that, but whatever. I'm just a peon that works on the line. But the V series, 420, 460. Okay, there you go. 460 torque. That's a decent amount of torque, but still, for the size of the vehicle, it's not much. It's not enough, in my opinion. But the V series, my question is with the V series, did General Motors drop the ball when they came out with this vehicle? And in my opinion, I think they did in more than one way. The first way is that they did not change the look of the vehicle that I've seen at all. Like 0%. But minus the badging, you can't tell it's a V series at all. Like it's no more aggressive. I don't know that it's any lighter. I don't know that it has special wheels. Other than literally other than badging, I don't really know that you can tell them apart. So that's one strike. Another strike, in my opinion, is the fact that they did not use the right supercharged 6.2 liter V8. The one that they chose to put in the Escalade V series, they're pulling from the CT5V Blackwing. It is a supercharged 6.2, but it's not the supercharged 6.2 that came from the C7 or ZR1. The V8 they chose to put in it makes 668 horsepower, and I can't remember the torque. But it's a decent. Chris, I disagree. I don't like the fact that you can't tell them apart minus the badging. you I understand the sleeper aspect of it. You don't want people to know what you have under the hood, blah blah blah. But I mean, if you're buying a V series, you want that car to stand out. You want people to know typically what you have. That you paid the extra, probably for the Escalade, probably 30 grand for the V series. I would say, I don't know retail pricing yet. I don't even know if it's been released, but um, the like I said, the engine that they chose to go with was out of the CT5V Blackwing, 668 horsepower, similar torque, and I just think that they dropped the ball not using the C7ZR1 supercharged 6.2, because that engine made 755 horsepower. And in a vehicle that big, I think that 755 is a good number. It would be able to use that much power, especially with all-wheel drive. I don't know. I just think that they had a lot of potential with this vehicle. I know that the V Series has been teased for quite a while. When it was first announced that they were considering doing the Cadillac V Series, they had a V12 that they were proposing to put under the hood, which would have been cool. Because Cadillac's never used a V12, at least that I can recollect. I don't think that they've ever used a V12 in a production car. I know back in the teens and 20s or 30s or whatever the hell it was, they used a 16 cylinder engine. But that was extremely impractical. It didn't make it didn't make any kind of power back in that day. But I don't think they've ever used a V12. I could be wrong. Do not quote me on that. I am not an expert on Cadillac engines, but I just think that they dropped the ball on this particular model. I think that they could have, competed better with the likes of Mercedes, Mercedes, BMW, even Audi's coming out with the high horsepower SUVs. Um, so I just think that they dropped the ball. They actually could own this segment if they had used that previous generation 6.2 supercharged from the ZR1. Again, just my opinion. I know that the Blackwing engines are good, and for those vehicles, they make really good power, really good torque, but they're a lot lighter. They're a lot lower to the ground. They're able to use that power better than the Escalade will. Um, but that's just me. I don't know what you guys feel about it. I could be talking out of my ass. I don't know, but um, I don't know. I know that the color palette is pretty much the same as all the other Escalades. I've only seen it in the red, which I love. I do really enjoy that color, but I haven't seen it in everything that's going to be available. But that's that one. I like again. I do. I understand more power sounds great. That's true. I 100% agree with you. Around here, and even in the majority of the United States, you're not going to be able to use that power to its potential. I get that, but if you're on the highway and some douchebag in a Mustang's messing with you, you could potentially open that supercharged 6.2 up and just laugh your whole way around him, or when you gap him, go to Gapplebee's and kind of give him the bird out the window. I don't know. I just don't think you're going to be able to do that with this version of the 6.2. I don't know. I could be wrong. It could be just enough, for what you want to do. But I just think if you have that supercharged 6.2 at your disposal, use it. That's just me. It's the exact same size. It's still supercharged. I just don't understand why they didn't use it. That's just me. Next, this one's actually a little bit strange, but also interesting to me at the same time. I'm going to describe um, the, I guess, subject of the point, and then I have a couple questions following it. So, a few upcoming vehicles that are being released soon from Rivian, that is an electric truck maker out of Ohio. The GMC Hummer electric truck and the Volvo C40, I think that's an electric vehicle as well. They are going to start using animal-free leather for their interior. Now, I can really get behind this, because I think leather is actually a pretty shitty material for seats, especially, um, and even for steering wheels, gear shifters, anything really. Because leather, it's nice. I don't dislike leather. It's just too susceptible to weather. One, and it doesn't last very long. It's not durable. It does feel good. Certain clothing might work. Even furniture, like household furniture, I just can't get behind leather furniture, and that's pretty much what car seats are. It's furniture. You're sitting on them. You're supposed to be comfortable when you sit, and leather is to me isn't overly comfortable. I've never ridden long on a long journey in a car that had leather, like legit leather, and I was just not comfortable. I know I'm a little bit above average height. I've never ridden in a car that is, for my height, comfortable, obviously, over long periods of time. Um, and I believe if you treat it correctly, it will last forever. I don't agree with that. Leather will always crack. It will always crack, especially if you have colder weather. No, leather's just not durable enough to me. But anyway, back to this animal free leather. Apparently, some of this material is being made from apple peels, pineapple leaves, and mushroom roots. Um, like I said, I can 100% get behind this idea. My questions are: how durable are these? Is this material? Like, how long will it last without cracking? Without just starting to degrade like leather does and will. Um, so yeah, that's my first question. How durable is it? Can it be washed easily? Uh, how do you clean it? That's my main question. Like, because leather is very fragile. You have to treat it correctly. You're right, Chris. You do have to treat it correctly for it to last longer than it's capable. Um, but it's still going to crack. It's still very susceptible to the weather. It does kind of sound like a salad, but you can't. Yeah, I wouldn't recommend you eating this. But cow leather is very susceptible to the weather, hot or cold. Also, another thing with the weather, if it's like crazy hot, like it gets here in Tennessee, in the summertime, it's gonna be even hotter. You're gonna stick to it. You're gonna burn your legs. You're gonna just sweat, and it's just leather. To me, in my opinion, is not a good material for interior. Also, my next question: comfort. How is it comfortable? Is it going to be harder than real leather, like the plastic leathers that we have now, the faux leather? Um, how does it hold up on long trips? Am I going to be comfortable on this fake leather? Is this animal free, man made crap? I mean, I can't say crap. I don't know anything about it. I just read this article. I think it's a good idea in theory, but in practice, I obviously would need to see it, feel it, drive on it, and experience it personally over uh, prolonged periods of time. Uh, that does help, obviously. Tesla has gotten a little bit heated and cooled seats, but still, I mean, when you get in the car first, unless you pre-start it, the remote start stuff, that's not gonna benefit you, because as soon as you sit on a seat, a car seat that's been outside and it's 10 degrees outside, that seat is gonna be extremely cold. That leather is gonna be super cold. And if you do that enough times, it's going to crack. They're just it's There's no way around it, heated or cooled. There's just no way around it. I just don't. I don't. They manufacturers need to get away from leather as quickly as they can, in my opinion. But I don't know if this is the best alternative. I have no idea. Like I said, I've not sat in a vehicle with this new animal-free leather yet. I only know of these three vehicles that are going to be using it. I'm sure. I think Tesla has completely gotten away from leather. Um, so yeah, I mean, obviously, the whole don't kill animals, save the environment, whatever. Okay, fine, that's fine. Except for steak, I have to have steak. Cows are delicious. I don't feel bad saying that. But like again, durability and comfort, those are the biggest things in my um that I'm questioning, like I said, how long are they going to last? How well will they hold up? And how comfortable are they? That's my thing. Especially over long distances. Me and Jess drove to Arizona last year, and in her Audi when she still had it. It was a 2015 Audi A4. Now it's a little bit of a small car. It was comfortable on short distances, but for me, driving 10, 12 hours, I got very uncomfortable. Uh, so that was a very, very long drive. It was almost 24 hours total. We didn't do that obviously in one run, but I was just very uncomfortable. I couldn't straighten my legs completely. My ass hurt pretty quickly. I don't know. It just wasn't the most comfortable ride. The car was great. I cannot say anything bad about the car. For me personally, it was just uncomfortable. So that's my biggest thing, comfort. Answer that question for me. Rivian, GMC, and Volvo, and Tesla. I would like to test out that seat personally. That's just me though. Okay, so the next one, I did find the 2022 Car and Driver Editor's Choice. I'm obviously not going to talk about every single car that was on the list. There's just way too many. I'm not actually going to talk about any in particular. I just I saw it. I went through the whole list, and it really bugged me the fact that there were only two American cars on the list, and of the 400 some odd total models on the market right now in America, they chose 116 finalists to be on this list, and literally only two of the cars, not SUVs, not trucks, not vans, two cars, just two, were American. Now, you might be asking me, like, what's the problem with that? Well, the problem is choice, options. There aren't any options out of the big three, well, four American manufacturers. I am including Tesla. There's only two cars that are American, owned by American companies, that made the list. Like, are you kidding me? I mean, there are a lot of the SUVs, a lot of trucks, a lot. I didn't look at the vans because I screw vans. Vans suck. Two cars, two out of 116. Obviously, they're not all cars. I think there might have been like 30-ish total cars in the list. Two of them were from American manufacturer. One American manufacturer, actually, they were both Cadillacs. Ford didn't have anything, and Chevy didn't have anything. Not the Camaro, not the Corvette, not the Mustang. Those didn't even make the list. I know they're leaving I know they left the car segment, the passenger car segment, and I agree with you. They did leave it too soon. I don't think they should have left it at all. In my opinion, they should still be making passenger cars. I don't care if SUVs are the new thing. I don't care how efficient they are. I don't care how practical they are. There are still people out here, in this country that want cars, four-door, four-seat cars. They want that. Oh, I'm one. Jess is one. My dad's one. My brother would be one. I know multiple people, just me, that people still want cars. It just bugs me that Cadillac is the only one that's sticking to it. Buick pulled out of the car segment. Uh, Chevrolet, they're pretty much done with passenger cars. They only make the Camaro and the Corvette. I think the Malibu might be holding on for a little bit longer. I'm not sure about the subcompact segment. They're waste of time. Um, I know they discontinued the Impala. And other than that, it's the Camaro and the Corvette, and they're in the process of ruining the Camaro. I believe next year they're going to be making it into an electric sedan. Uh, Again, GM, shame on you. I agree, Chris. It's definitely going to be a mistake long term. These SUVs are just becoming so expensive. It's just out of hand. I don't understand it. But my whole like I said, my biggest gripe is 116 total vehicles made the editor's choice list. 2 are American cars. 2 of them. Not even a Tesla made the list. I know that they make one car. All the rest of their crap's SUV. And I know that they're in the process of making a smaller hatchback car in China and importing it over here. So good luck selling that piece of junk. I don't care how cheap it is. Any of you that buys that car, shame on you. It's just my opinion. Again, I don't care if you like it or you don't. You don't have to agree with me. 75K, I'm nowhere near affording that. I can't even afford 50. So yeah, no, I'm with you, Chris. I got 2 Chris's on here right now. So, yeah, deal with it. Anyway, I don't want to dwell on that too much. I do think a lot of their list is crap. Like I said, I'm not going to talk about anything specific. Well, other than the Kia Telluride, that car should not be even in existence, and every one of them deserve to have a grenade thrown underneath them. It is one of the most ugly vehicles on the road currently. It does not take the top spot for ugliest ever, although it is close. My mother will argue all day, every day, for the rest of time that the Nissan Juke owns that title, and it's up there. It's very close to the top. This next one, I will kind of dwell on, not really, but I'm going to talk a little bit more about it because I really, really like it, but also because the name of it, just, I don't know, it gets on my nerves. So that's what I'm going to do. The 2023 Aston Martin DBX SUV. Everyone should know what it looks like. If you don't, I'm actually going to look it up so you guys do know what it looks like, because all of you should know what it looks like because it's beautiful. I actually planned on sharing some of my screen at some point anyway. So here we go. All right, Aston Martin DBX. I'm going to show you just the regular one first, so you get an idea. Bear with me for one moment. If I can figure this out, get it to where I need it. Okay, now, no, that's not what I wanted. All right, this is the Aston Martin DBX. I thoroughly enjoy this car. It's extremely attractive. Obviously, everyone who's 100%. Oh, my mother. Yeah. I agree. I think the Juke is completely hideous. And up until that point, the Pontiac Aztec had owned that title, but the Juke by far surpassed that thing as soon as it hit the market. I do agree, but from previous episodes, I've talked about Aston Martin nonstop. Everyone knows that I love Aston Martin. In my eyes, they can do no wrong when it comes to car design, car making. They can't do anything wrong. The 70s, don't even bring that up because that was a weird time for them. But before that, in the 60s and after that, they have done absolutely no wrong. They've made beautiful vehicles. So yeah, this is their first foray, if you will, their first venture into the SUV market, and I think they hit it out of the park. I think it's beautiful, front and rear. Um, I'll try to find a rear shot. Here's a rear shot of it, so you guys can see the rear. Chris, my team, you're out of your mind. This thing is gorgeous. And I'm not even going to entertain that comment. If you need a better picture of it, that one doesn't look as good. Let's see. Doesn't look as good in that color. There you go. That one looks good. Anyway, this is the DBX. Just the regular old. It's not basic, but if for all intents and purposes, this is the basic bitch one. The one I'm about to reference is they call it the 707. And I will explain what they mean by that in just a moment. And that's the exact reason I wanted to bring this car up or talk about this car. Now, this is the 707. I know it looks exactly the same, but where the 707 comes from, actually, first let me talk about the numbers. This uses a twin turbo V8. It's an upscale version of the 4-liter V8. Well, your wife is weird too because she likes the Fiero just as much as you. Anyway, I like the Fiero too. Don't worry. Anyway, twin turbo V8. That's a 4-liter, I believe. But this one makes 697 horsepower and 663 torques. That's a lot. That's more than anything from Lamborghini, which is essentially an Audi. More than anything from Audi, more than anything from Porsche, more than anything from BMW, more than anything from Mercedes, from the factory. Obviously, there's aftermarket bullshit. We're not talking about that. This is from the manufacturer. 697 horsepower, 663 torques. Okay. So when I first heard that the 707 was coming out, I was like, okay, probably has 707 horsepower. Well, there's a catch to that. It does technically have 707 metric horsepower. That's where the 707 comes from. But in this country, we're 10 fewer because we are America and we have to have different shit than everyone else. Like, why can't we just learn the metric system and go with that? It's more accurate and it's more globally used. So why the hell can we not use the metric system here? First question. Anyway, this thing does 0 to 60 in 3.1 seconds. That is getting it in an SUV. Like, that's supercar territory. And this is a 4-door, 5-seat. It's got a boot. Yes, I said it. It's a boot. Whatever. It's a trunk. Cargo area, whatever the hell you want to call it. SUV. And this thing is getting it to 60. 3.1. I mean, that is kicking it. Probably got all-wheel drive, I'm sure, which does help. It's a smaller SUV. It's not huge, but it's still a big fucking modern metal, all the technology SUV. So for it to be as heavy as it is, 3.1 to 60 is kicking it. Drawback to it. $235,000 for this thing. I don't know if that's base retail. I don't know if that's fully loaded. I have no idea, but $235K, that's a lot. I mean, that's Vanquish territory, and I personally would rather have a Vanquish. Slightly used Vanquish. I think the new ones are like closer to 3, but what can you do? So yeah, 707 metric horsepower, 697 American normal horsepower. That's my ignorance. I'm American. Go figure. I don't care. Chris, I would like a Fiero too. I've never disliked them. It would have to be an 88 GT. I don't know that I would be comfortable in it. Other Chris says I would. I don't know. I'd have to, Chris, other Chris on my team, you're going to have to drive one of yours to work, and I'll see about that. But yeah, the Aston Martin DBX, us what? US. I don't know what you're talking about. Anyway, uh, I think it's beautiful all around, every angle. I just for one of the higher end sports car manufacturers breaking into the SUV market, I think this one is one of the best executed examples of that. Maserati's shit. I do like the Alfa Romeo, but it's lower end. It's not nearly as expensive. The Quadrifoglio does make good horsepower. It's like I said, it's very, very good looking. Um, I don't think that Lamborghini. I like the Urus. I think it's a little bit too expensive. I think the styling's a little over the top, but I do like it. Um, Not as much as this. I know that Ferrari is working on breaking into the SUV market. Uh, I'm not 100% sure that the pictures I've seen are what the actual vehicle is going to look like. And if it is, shame on you, Ferrari, because it's terrible. Um, Bentley and Rolls, shame on you both. Both of your SUVs are terrible. What else? What else am I missing? Jag. I don't dislike the Jags. They're pretty good looking. Um, I can't remember what the hell they're called. The I-Pace and I think it's like I-Pace or F-Pace or I don't know, some crap. All this non-name naming scheme. I hate it. From that goes way back to an earlier episode. We actually redid that episode on video too. But anyway, I don't dislike the Jag SUVs. I think they're good looking, especially the performance versions. Uh, the BMW and Mercedes SUVs, I'm not a huge fan of a lot of them, but I don't dislike the M versions of the X5 and I'm not 100% sure they make a 7M, but the X5M isn't bad. It's a mid-range, it's like medium size, but it has like crazy horsepower. It's not terrible. It's not my favorite vehicle ever. And then Mercedes does do again, the naming schemes for these vehicles anymore. That one of their smaller middle range sized SUVs, they do an AMG version of. I've seen them up here in Franklin. I don't dislike that one, but other than that, they're smaller GL like the GLK. Um, I hate the G wagon. Everyone that has watched this podcast one time or another probably knows that I hate, I loathe the G wagon. I think it is the ugliest, just cheapest made $100,000+ SUV ever. Um, it's an SUV. Trust me. I see what you're seeing, but this is definitely an SUV. It's not a stretched. It's not a stretched vertically hatchback. It's definitely not. It's a taller SUV. I just but you can have your opinion. That you're entitled to that. I personally love it. I think it's a gorgeous vehicle. But uh, brother Chris, I agree with you mostly on the BMW and Mercedes. They're not very they're not very good. Audi SUVs are a little bit different story. the SQ5, the SQ7, and all the RSQ8. Now that is where I draw the line when it comes to German SUVs. That is the best thing SUV wise that comes from Germany is the RSQ8. Jess can agree with me on that. She loves it, but we can't afford 150 grand. So we won't own that ever. But I do quite enjoy it. Volkswagen, the Atlas isn't too bad. I know this is all falling under the same umbrella, if you will, because they're all owned by Volkswagen. Volkswagen, Audi, Lamborghini, Porsche, all that. They're all under the same envelope. Brother Chris is on Facebook chat. Yes, feel free to communicate with each other. Chris and Chris. All right, so the next thing that's going to do it for the the Aston. I'm going to get rid of this real quick. Remove. All right. The next thing I'm going to talk about is. Okay, good. I didn't close the wrong thing. Let me close that. All right. So the next thing I'm going to talk about comes from Sweden. I'm not sure how many of you have ever heard of Koenigsegg. They are a Swedish hypercar manufacturer. Christian von Koenigsegg is the owner and proprietor of said company. And he is actually quite a bit of genius. He has innovated a lot of things when it comes to high speed automotive engineering. Actually, I think 2 or 3 of his vehicles have owned the high speed, not production car, but well, I mean they do produce them, I guess. But the high speed record for cars that you can drive on the road, they've owned that on multiple occasions. Anyway, they're ultra high end, they're ultra high horsepower, and they're ultra expensive. Beautiful vehicles. I've liked everything that they've ever come out with. But like I said, they're absolutely out of my realm of ever owning, unless I win the lottery, or unless Jess becomes my sugar mama. And she's not paying attention. That should have drawn at least a smile. She's shaking her head no. Anyway, okay, so their latest innovation from Koenigsegg out of Sweden, like I said, they have come up with an electric motor, as well as, or along with all these other manufacturers. They're kind of jumping on that bandwagon. They're not fully in, but they are toying around with it, and they have engineered an electric motor. They nicknamed it the Quirk. I don't know. Quark. Quark. I don't know. They're Swedish. Who knows? This thing's tiny. I saw a picture of it. And I will pull it up so you guys can see it as well. Bear with me one moment. I suck at typing. Okay, so I'm gonna share the screen for a moment so you guys can see what I'm talking about. This is the electric motor that Koenigsegg has developed very recently. That is a 16-ounce energy drink can, so that puts it into perspective of how teeny tiny it is. Right? That's small. It only weighs 63 pounds. That's tiny. What was the car that can supposedly hit 330? Koenigsegg has never produced anything that could do 330. There are a lot of these hypercars that have been wind tunnel tested to well over 330. Not sure Koenigsegg is one of them. I know the SSC out of California with the Tuatera. I think their car was wind tunnel tested to about 330, but that car never in real life on the street. It never came close to that. They do own the record though. I think it's 283 miles an hour. I think that is the current world record. But Koenigsegg, no, Koenigsegg never hit anything anywhere near that. There are some upcoming vehicles that are going to try to set the record over 300 miles an hour. I know Bugatti hit 303 with the Chiron that was slightly modified. I don't count that because it didn't do two runs both ways. That's how you get the world record. You do two runs, one way, one the other way, and they average it. Obviously, that would not have the record would not have been over 300 because they average the speeds, and they never go the same speed both ways. But it did hit 303. Respect. It's fast as hell. I can't knock Bugatti, Volkswagen, all those guys on that team. I can't knock it. They did hit 303. Yeah, and then it's verified they did, but it's not a world record. I know that Tuatera SSC they wanted to break 300, and in their first go, they claimed well over 300, but the way they measured the speed was not accurate. So they actually, I don't think they ever broke 300 either way, but they did break Koenigsegg's record. I think Koenigsegg hit 278. I think that was their average, but yeah, the SSC Tuatera, I think their average was 283. So they beat it by 5 miles an hour. That doesn't sound like much to most folks, but over 200, anything faster is that's a lot, and that it takes a lot of power and aerodynamics and physics to go 1 mile an hour faster, and they hit 5 miles an hour faster. So kudos to them. Not a lot of people have ever heard of them. So yeah, a small manufacturer out of California. Good for them. Anyway, I'm going to go back to this tiny little electric motor. Like I said, it weighs 63 pounds, which is nothing. It makes 335 horsepower and 443 torques. That's a lot out of something this small. A whole lot. The only catch, there is a catch. While it does make a lot of power, it only makes it for 20 seconds. Yeah, you heard me right. It only makes its potential horsepower and torque numbers for 20 seconds. And then it drops to 134 horsepower and 184 torques. It didn't make sense to me at first what the hell the point even would be to this electric motor. But I continued reading the article and then it made sense. Okay, so what this is going to be used for is Koenigsegg is making its first ever 4-seat hypercar. Up until this point, they've all been 2-seat hypercars. But this is a more passenger vehicle, but it's still considered a hypercar as it will do more than 250 miles an hour. Now, what this is going to be used for, this is going to be their first venture into hybrid technology. They're going to use this very small, impressively powerful electric motor for low speed in the Gemera. That's what it's going to be called, the Gemera. At low speed operation, this is what's going to be used. I don't know the range that it can be used at. I don't know how long it'll take to charge. I don't know any of that. They didn't even cover that in the article. But this is going to be for the low speed range of the Gemera. But yeah, this is going to be their first go into the hybrid category, if you will. The car is beautiful. I don't know if you guys have ever seen it. I'm going to pull up a picture. Perfect example. All right, this is the Gamera. I'm going to make this bigger so you guys can see it. Get my ugly mug off the face or off the screen. Okay, so this is the Gamera. Like I said, this is the first passenger vehicle that has more than two seats, obviously, that Koenigsegg has ever developed and will be coming out with. This is going to be built. It is a two-door car. Those are just two doors, and they're massive doors, if I must say so. But it's a beautiful car. I think it's very attractive. The design is really, really nice. Actually, here's a picture of it with the doors closed. It's a beautiful car. I love the design. Um, but for it to be a 2+2 Grand Tourer, if you will, um, it makes crazy power. It only has a 3-cylinder engine. Actually, if I'm going to elaborate a little bit more on it, but it makes over 600 horsepower out of that 3-cylinder engine, which is insane. Which goes back to me saying that Christian von Koenigsegg has some really, really good engineers working for him. So yeah, the car is beautiful. The engineering is out of this world crazy. I love the door operation, how they open outward and then they swing forward. Um, and like I said, this little teeny tiny uh, electric motor that is barely bigger than an energy drink can is going to help power it at low speeds. So I really thought that was a very interesting thing. Some very innovative technology. I don't 100% know how it works. I'm not an engineer. I'm nowhere near that smart. Uh, Admittedly, I have no problem admitting that. I don't know. Nope. I'm out when it comes to that. But yeah, that's going to be very interesting to continue to see and read about, and which I will continue to do. I do want to know like ranges. Yeah, no, that isn't nothing about that. Anyway, there's another picture of it just for uh, you know what I'm trying to say. Comparative size. I don't perspective. That's the word I was looking for. But yeah, that's that. All right. Next thing I'm going to talk about. You guys have probably heard about this. I know my bro Chris has. I shared this in the group. I think he shared this in the group actually. The 2023 VIN number 1 Corvette Z06 just sold at auction. I'm going to pull a picture of it. This is the car. It just sold at auction, and I know this has been an ongoing trend at auction for probably going on 15 years or so now. A lot of these special low volume, upscale or upper trim level cars always they always sell the VIN number 001 at auction. It's donated by the company, and the proceeds go to charity. I understand. I love the cause. I like the meaning behind it all. Um, but what I don't agree with it, or where I don't agree with it, is just the astronomical prices these things sell for. This thing sold. And granted, we don't 100% know what they're going to be sold for at dealerships. I know that General Motors set retail at 80 grand. But with all these stupid asshole market uh, market adjustment rates or whatever the hell these dealerships are gouging people on, let's just put it in perspective. The base model C8, even fully loaded, the fully loaded, they were supposed to come in at, if you built it and literally put every option on it, yeah, they would be over 100,000. But base price, they were 55. You should have been able to go to the dealership and buy a brand new C8 Corvette for $55,000. You couldn't do that though, because all these asshole dealerships were adjusting the MSRP to well over $100,000 for just a base model, for a regular basic C8 Corvette, which should be illegal. And shame on you, asshole GM dealerships, for doing that. I'll elaborate on that in just a moment. Now, when the Z06 was revealed and the MSRP was announced, they set that at 80,000, which is 25,000 over base price. That's acceptable. I could see that. Now, where I want to argue, or not argue, where I want to gripe, yes, I'm going to gripe, with all these stupid market adjustment fees, if you will, which is total bullshit. I could see these things starting at 120,000 at least. That's just a very conservative estimate. I could see them charging 120 grand for this car, which is 40,000 over MSRP, if not more, if they don't charge more. Now, I forget where the hell I was going with this. Oh, I don't think I actually mentioned how much this car actually sold for. Now, all right. So the first instance of this happening, VIN number 001, donated by the company to for auction at, and the proceeds go to charity. I want to say, and for me, the first instance was when the C6 ZR1 was first debuted in, I think, for the 2009 model year. That car was nicknamed the Blue Devil. And I want to say that car sold for over $1 million. And retail for those things was like 130, roughly. Which is a lot for a Corvette, granted, but it was the first time that the ZR1 name had been brought back since 1995. And the ZR1 name was synonymous with ultra high horsepower, ultra high performance Corvette. And it's still the budget American supercar. If you want to, the budget I use very loosely for 130 grand. But in the grand scheme, at the time, you couldn't really buy 640 horsepower for less than $500,000. So yeah, it is technically considered a budget supercar. All right. So this one that you're looking at right now, this pale, terribly, terribly bad yellow. I do not like this color. I love the car. Don't get me wrong. I don't like the color. This is too pale of a yellow. It's not a good yellow. But anyway, this car, VIN number 001, 2023 Z06, sold to Rick Hendrick, who always buys these things, for $3.6 million. Now, let me backtrack a little bit. They set the MSRP of these things, base price for a Z06, at $80,000. This sold for $3.6 million. Let that sink in a little bit. That's not 10 times as much as MSRP. It's not 20 times as much as MSRP. That's like, 40, 50 times more than MSRP? I would have to sit down and do the math. I'm not good at that. But that's a whole lot more than MSRP. That's like 45 times MSRP. If I'm, giving myself a minute to think about it. 45 times MSRP. That's what this car sold for. Rick Hendrick bought it. Fine, whatever. He's got bukus of millions of dollars. But my problem with this is this kind of justifies the dealerships in marking these vehicles up. It kind of justifies them in it. These dealerships see these cars selling for millions of dollars, and they're like, well, why can't we get double retail? Why can't we do that? Why can't we do that? And why wouldn't we do that? We'd be fools not to. People are willing to pay multiple millions of dollars for these things. Why can't we just charge double retail? People will pay it. And shame on those people for paying it because this is an $80,000 car to start. Don't pay 130, 140, $150,000 for this car. Is it still a $150,000 car? Yes, I believe it will be. Just based off of the looks, the materials, the performance, all of that, it probably is a 140, $150,000 car. But General Motors has set the MSRP at 80 grand. Don't pay over 80 grand for a base model Z06. Do not. And good on General Motors for warning these asshole General Motors dealerships about this market adjustment fee gouging add-on bullshit price. They've warned them about it. They've warned them against it. I don't know how they're going to enforce it. I don't know how they can enforce it. The dealerships are going to do what the hell they want to do, which shame on them again. It should be illegal because price gouging should be illegal on anything, honestly. But General Motors has done everything that they know how to do, everything they can, everything within legal bounds to keep these dealerships from gouging people. Because if you're charging too much for these vehicles, you're gonna run your potential buyers off, and you're not gonna make any money. General Motors has already made their money. The corporation. Dealerships order from the corporation, they make their money, and after that, you're free to do with these vehicles what you do. But if you price yourself out of the market and people aren't buying your vehicles, you're screwing over the company, because the company can't continue to sell you vehicles because you're just going to sit on these things. They're going to sit on your lot, and you're actually going to lose money at some point. So, Chris, I understand it does come down to how bad you want it, but there has to come a time where you're unwilling to pay for what they're charging. And that's what's posing the problem for me personally in my next car purchase. I'm in the market for a new vehicle, not a new vehicle. Obviously, I can't afford anything new, but new to me, obviously. I'm in the market for that. And I'm obviously, after I found out what our annual bonus is going to be, and it's public knowledge, so I don't feel bad about talking about it. After I found out how much our bonus was going to be, I can't afford what I was originally going to buy. I was going to buy an early C7 Corvette, but after I found out what our bonus is, like I said, it's not going to happen. So I've adjusted what I am looking at, and I have found some potential purchases. I'm actually pretty excited about it. I'm going to get rid of that picture. Don't need to see that anymore. Here's my stupid face. I have found a couple of 2013 Camaro ZL1s, and they are actually surprisingly very affordable. There's one in Knoxville that I am very interested in. I need a little bit more money for a down payment, and I have a buyer for the Blazer. He's just waiting on the money, and so that's what I'm waiting on. As soon as I have that money, I'm going to go to Knoxville. As long as they still have the car, I'm going to drive over to Knoxville. I'm going to drive it, and hopefully drive it home. So yeah, that's what I'm looking at. I have not driven a ZL1. I've driven a 2010 2SS. It was a 6-speed. The ZL1 is a 6-speed. I know that the ZL1s are much more powerful, but I'm sure they drive similarly. Honestly, don't care. I'm obviously going to drive it before I buy it, but it being in Knoxville, I don't really. I'm not really gonna. It's not really gonna bother me if I don't end up buying it because it's only a 3 hour drive each way. Um, so if I do go over there, I do drive it, I don't like it, and I don't end up buying it, it's not going to really hurt my feelings. It's going to suck because I'm very, very interested in it. I've always liked the ZL1s, supercharged 6.2, 580 horsepower, similar torque figures. It's a good looking car. It's red, has all the black whatever trim. I like the wheels on it. No, I have not driven one, but I drove. I've driven a CTS-V. It has the similar 6.2 supercharged. I'm sure it has very similar suspension. It was a 6 speed, so I've driven a similar car to it. So if it drives anything like that CTS-V that I drove, I'm going to like it. Um, the car has enough room for what it is for me. I think the driver position is going to be fine. I know visibility, rearward visibility isn't great, but when you're buying a car like that, it's not really what you're worried about. It's not what I'm worried about. I don't give a shit. That's what mirrors are for. Um, and that's what the gas pedal's for too. If someone's in your freaking blind spot, just put your foot quarter of the way down and your Gapplebees again. But that's right now. That's what I'm looking at. But again, uh, with all the supplier issues that we're having in the market, in the industry, the used car market price wise is it's really mostly out of hand. I'm actually kind of surprised I have found what I have found at the prices that I found. I'm willing to pay what they're asking for the 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 certain car that I'm referring to. I'm willing to pay what they're asking minus the down payment, obviously, uh, because of what it is, because of the mileage, because of the condition. I'm willing to pay it. Um, so yeah, the market's still out of hand. It's not the most desirable uh, price wise. It's definitely a seller's market as well as uh, you know. I'm not going to talk about real estate, but it's the same as real estate is right now. It's just out of hand price wise. It's just so expensive to buy a car right now, and I get it. These dealerships aren't able to get a lot of new cars, especially with all the equipment that they're supposed to have. I know a lot of manufacturers are shipping vehicles purposely without certain options just to get them to the dealerships. I understand you have to sell cars, you have to ship cars, you have to make money to stay afloat. I understand. But you on the other side, you're not doing yourself any favors because have you thought about wait I have thought about waiting. Um but honestly, I don't know how much longer the Blazer is going to last. I really don't. It could last 10 more years. It could last 10 more days, honestly. I'm going to get what I can out of it. The guy that's going to buy it, he just wants it as a toy, just something to mess around with. It's not going to be a driver. Um, so, I like I said, I'm willing to pay what they want for it. It's not, I think it's a good deal for what it is. And um, I'm not putting all of my money down on it, so I'll still have a good cushion of money after I buy the car. So yeah, potentially if anything does go wrong, I could be able to fix it. Knock on wood, God forbid that anything does go wrong for a long time. Hopefully, I know that buying a used car, you take that risk, but hopefully, I don't run into any problems if I do end up with the car. I'm obviously not 100% sure. I'm honestly surprised I still have it because because of how good a deal I think it is, especially in the market right now. I've seen similar. I've seen the same year ZL1, very similar equipment, miles, all that for much more expensive. I don't really. The only thing I can tell Maybe why the car is so cheap is because of it. I would be the sixth or seventh owner of the car. The miles aren't crazy. There is some wear and tear on the interior, which is normal. I really hope that the car wasn't thrashed. I hope that some 20 something asshole didn't own it before me and just completely destroy the clutch, or, just street race it being a freaking retard. I kind of hope that's, not what happened with it. But like I said, I will drive it, and I'm not a master mechanic, but I mean, I know a lot of what to look for, and noises, and you know rattles and clanks and bangs, and stupid, not typical noises and all that. Um, so I've got to wait for the money, like I said, and I've got to go over there and drive it. So we'll see how that goes. I don't know. Uh, I don't know when that potentially could happen. I really, my parents are coming down next week for my birthday. My birthday's next Sunday. Shut up. I don't care. Um, but I really wanted to be in something before they got here, but I don't see that happening. Um, it's not a huge deal. Uh, but yeah, I kind of wanted to take. Yeah, whatever. I mean, Randy, my brother, Jess, whoever wants to go, come on. I don't care. Um, Chris, if you want to go, fuck it, I don't care. But I kind of wanted to show off to my dad. But if I don't, I don't. Whatever, it's fine. Not a big deal. I didn't really want to go that old. I did want to kind of stay closer to new. Uh, Obviously, with Corvette, I can't afford anything new, or even anywhere near it. I was going to stay around a 15 C7, but again, with the way the car market is right now, especially with the Corvette, the production in Kentucky, so it's so on and off with supplier issues, and with that storm that hit them, uh, employees threatening to go on strike because they keep outsourcing jobs. The production is just so hit and miss. It's really on and off. Dealerships not being able to dealerships not being able to get new C8s. The older used Corvettes are just astronomical, and I understand that they hold their value well, but I'm sorry, a 2015 with almost 100,000 miles is not worth 50 grand. It's just not. I mean, it wasn't much more than that new almost 8 years ago. I mean, come on, get real. No, not gonna rent a Denali. Appreciate the offer though, Chris. It's nice. It's nice, but no, I'm good. I'm not an SUV guy. You know that. I even though I drive one, just not an SUV guy. It is a piece of junk, and I'm looking forward to not driving it anymore. But anyway, I don't really have much more. This is going to be a short episode. Not having someone to banter back and forth with. I didn't really go off on a lot of tangents. I know I'm on one right now, but I like I said earlier, I put some feelers out. No one responded, so I didn't have a guest today. Kind of doing my best to kind of use up the majority of the time as best as I could or can. Found some interesting things to talk about. Kind of a smorgasbord of random shit, but like I said, it's easier to banter back and forth with someone on the other side. But it's cool. It's cool. I don't mind doing the shit on my own. I've got the comments on the side over here, kind of helping me along a little between both Chris's. So I appreciate that, you guys. I got a few people watching, haven't commented, but that's cool. Not a huge deal. I just appreciate you guys watching and listening to my stupid rants and raves and dumbass opinions that probably don't mean anything to you guys, but it's just kind of how it goes. Oh, thank you, sir. Appreciate that. I do not have a wheel talk question for myself. Obviously, I can't ask myself a question. I tried to get Jess to come up with one kind of last minute, but she refused. She had a little bit of a tood about it. Not really. Just giving her shit. But yeah, no wheel talk today. I was trying to maybe think of something I could answer, that was floating around out there, but I can't really think of anything off the top of my head. Like I said, short episode. I apologize for that part, but whatever. It is what it is. They're not always going to be close to 2 hours or a few minutes over or under. When I'm by myself, they're going to be a little bit shorter. You can kind of put a little bit of blame on George for going MIA. I still have no idea what's going on with him. I wish him well, but I have no idea what's going on with him. So yeah, I'm going to call it. I hate it because, like I said, it's a shorter episode, but that's all I can do. Like I say, no wheel talk. But like I said earlier, go to the High Octane group on Facebook. Join there. It's pretty fun. A lot of people post, comment, talk a little bit of crap. But it's fun, like I said. And the YouTube page is High Octane Live Podcast. That's what you need to search. Go subscribe to that. All of these episodes go directly to it every week. In the next few months, April, May-ish, I'm going to have a remote video going up over there to YouTube, and I will post it to Facebook also. That's going to be pretty special after the Andy Pilgrim episode. I'm not going to talk about it in detail yet, but I know I teased you guys a lot about the Andy Pilgrim interview episode, but there's going to be a little bit of a follow-up to it. Like I said, April, May-ish, once the weather gets a little bit warmer. So that one's going to be extra special to me. It's going to be super fun. So you guys need to listen or tune into that. And along the way, I'll bring it up here and there, but that's going to be super fun. But beyond that, that's going to do it for this week. Again, thank you guys for listening, watching, tuning in around the world. Apparently, I'm huge in Russia and New Zealand, so thank you guys over there and everywhere else that everybody listens. I know I talk a lot about I actually only talk about what happens over here in America, but that's only because I live here and I have no idea what goes on in the car world in other countries. I don't know what all is sold in your countries, so I'm pretty ignorant about that. So I kind of just stay in, stay in my comfort zone, I guess you could call it, when it comes to things I think I know. So, I'm not trying to leave you guys out. I just don't know what the hell's going on over there. So I stay in my lane. That's what I was looking for. I stay in my lane when it comes to what I talk about. And I still am not 100% sure I know what I'm talking about. But anyway, that's going to do it. Tune in next week. I don't know who will be on. I don't know what I'll talk about, but hopefully I'll kind of make it interesting and give you guys a chuckle. But that's going to do it. Thanks, Chris's, plural, squared. But yeah, that's going to do it. Everybody have fun.